Hey everyone, how you all doing? Can you guys hear me? All I'm thinking about is like, how do I make this video not depressing? Because I feel like I've been feeding you with a lot of harsh realities, but then again, this is Holocaust Remembrance Day. And I was thinking also that it's like I'm wearing this eye makeup, and before starting this stream, I was watching the national ceremony, and they have luckily we're still getting to hear the experiences of Jews firsthand. It's something we should all cherish, because I don't think it will be long that until we won't have it anymore. I was thinking I'm gonna ruin that's gonna ruin my makeup, so I have to have like a stream that talks about everything, but it's not too heavy, otherwise I'm gonna look very funny on camera. So let's try to avoid it and make it somewhere in the middle. Because I'm not gonna lie, this year, this year's Memorial Day feels very, very different. תודה. I'm also gonna wait a little for people to join. Did Hamas just attack Israel again? Yes. I mean, I would like to talk about it, maybe more tomorrow. But yeah. Psych, I'm first. Hi, Michael. Shalom. Thank you for your support. It's nice to see you all. Saludos. Are you hitting on me, Jason? Yeah, Hamas. I know what hermosa means, by the way. Hablo un poquito español también. Uncle Leo. Speaking of Uncle Leo. Yeah, we've been talking to him about my Uncle Leo lives in the United States. And even if he worries about the situation in the United States, the situation has to be pretty dire, because he never wanted, it's unlike him to really being not optimistic about it. Let's say it like that. Do not let Hamas raise its hood ever again. Yeah. Hamas is, how can I say it? They need to be out of this world 100%. But what I'm more worried about is the overall situation, let me tell you. I think because I talked to my sister over dinner now, and she was like, we know our neighbors, right? Like everything they did, yes, they had committed the most awful atrocities that you can think of. It's like you watch the worst kind of serial unaliver, because I don't want to get demonetized right off the bat. I'll probably get demonetized anyway, though, at some point. But yeah, but like it's what they do. It's who they are. It's their world reaction that really, really makes it feel awful. Because, you know, like barbarians are barbarians. I don't know how to put it in better words, but when the so-called enlightened people are acting the way they do, then it starts getting into, okay, we understand now. It doesn't feel like a Memorial Day anymore. It's not remembrance. It's more of a deja vu this year, you know? It's more of a, oh, everything that was like, but how does it feel like? But how did it look like? But why, how can your neighbors that you loved for years just turn their back on you and not listen to you and suddenly dehumanize you? Well, mystery solved. We know now how it happens. We feel it. It's a good. Thank you for your support, Brendan. Which Israeli artist should play at UCLA campus? Omer Adam? I don't know. It's the first person that came to my... Noah Kirel. Maybe Neta Barzilai. You should go. It should be a rave. I feel like Neta. I love it, and the performance of Neta Barzilai. I went. She's amazing. We're in live, so I love. It's good vibes. Talking. I'll start. I made some clips that I want to. I want us to watch together, including my own clips, right? Like some clips that I've made in my anti-Semitism video, some clips from my anti-Semitism video. There is the message from Netanyahu today that I want to share with you all. And yeah, and the rest. Oh, and the conversation with the rabbi that I saw. Oof, I forgot what's the channel name. A lot of things I want to talk about. It's not. We're not going to watch a Holocaust movie now together, but I do want to bring up some things that I've talked about. It's interesting to me. Like I also have been thinking. I've made the Zionism video, and a lot of Jews were part of the Bolshevik. What was it? Bolshevik movement. The communists help the communists, and then I have to say, if this Russian Empire would have killed hundreds of thousands of your people, and also they did everything, right? They R-word, they mutilate, they did everything to the Jews in like, you know, in the hundreds of thousands. Like, of course you joined a movement that would want to replace that governance. Like, that makes sense that Jews would cooperate with it. Like, they were really attacked. So, but of course, like, they were also the first people that the communists like turned their backs on as well. So let me see. I bet it sounds weird to hear me glumping. All right, are you guys ready? Should we listen to Netanyahu? Oh, the Uralic tribes. Thank you so much for your support. Urinating on one another, that's what they do. Also would have Gaza had the potential to become the Singapore of the Middle East if the Palestinians weren't radical and hateful. If the Palestinians weren't radical and hateful, then they would have just been maybe at least like the Israeli Arabs, or they wouldn't be landlocked here if they weren't that. They're soldiers. That's who they are. They are. And like, it's not necessarily that they want to be, right? But Egypt, is blockading them and have blockaded them since the beginning, even though most of them are Egyptian. I have Egyptian family names and everything. They are Egyptian, they say themselves, right? That they are Egyptian. But yeah, they are. But then, the Egyptians were like, okay, we need you guys to help us with the holy war. And it started as a holy war. It was declared, what's his name? Was it Pasha? I think he declared from the get-go that this is a holy war from day one. So the Arab League knew what it was doing, right? It was like, okay, this is a holy war. We cannot have a situation where the global community can pressure us to live peacefully. So we have to have like this turmoil. Always have those people who are fighting because they are indoctrinated to not acknowledge Israel in any way, shape, or form, and they say and never compromise. Look how far they indoctrinated. Like today, they attacked Kerem Shalom, like where the humanitarian aid passes through. They attacked the area, the passing of the humanitarian aid. Yes, they killed 5 soldiers, but this is their humanitarian aid. But this is their indoctrination. It's like until the last of them, that's their mind. And it's when with everything I say at this point, they are saving us, because the more dangerous people are Biden. Biden is way more dangerous than Hamas. Hamas, it is what it is. They are who they are. The West, the left in the West, they lie about who they are, and they're super sophisticated, and it's really hard to fight them. I see. Works both ways. And I wanted to say also that so with the Hamas is like I told my mom, this that the God hardened Pharaoh's heart because he wanted to make sure that and then when Moses came to speak to Pharaoh, Pharaoh chose the last punishment, right, with his words. And the thing is that what God did is just hardening his heart, or if I remember, and that's the thing is Hamas, feels like the same, right? Their heart is so hardened, they leave us no choice. And when there is no choice, that's the easiest choice to make, because you have no choice, right? You cannot pretend that you can leave Gaza for a little bit and rebuild it a little bit and things are going to get better. No, there is no room for pretend. There is no room for like delusion. They kill all options of like being in delusion because they're so consistent and like It's like it makes it easier. But even with that, like, this is what everyone else wants, right? They support it. They support Hamas in the standings. Okay, I don't want to. I think I want to talk about it tomorrow, not right now. But it's also said the CIA promised Hamas that they're in their negotiations that there will be no deal without Israel leaving Gaza. Come on. Okay, so there is no negotiation because the United States sold us out. The United States sold us out and their own citizens that are there. And then in that when the head of the CIA says that to Hamas, what it means, there is no negotiation. There is no deal. It's just a game to see if they can break Israel. And can you imagine? There is no deal. There is nothing. If this is what the United States promises Hamas, it means they will pressure Israel to exit Gaza even without the refugees. Why would they give them back? There is no deal. That's it. That delusion is shattering. We cannot, like, we were betrayed. We were betrayed by the Biden. We were betrayed, and his own citizens that are in Gaza were betrayed as well. So there is no deal. There can't be a deal because this deal is that's it. We know that the mediators betrayed us. So there is no. Well, I have been having this comment on and I didn't even read it. Jax, thank you so much, Jax. Decent human beings stand with you, and there are more than some would like to believe. Never give up. Thank you so much. But decent human beings that do not fight are not very useful, to be honest. This is where I'm standing right now. Yes, we're fighting back. We're fighting back, though. You see, they really are Egyptians. Yeah, they are Egyptians, of course. Puyun Tun 808. Thank you so much for your support. Okay, let's watch what Netanyahu said today. It's in Hebrew. I'll just translate it.
זכרם של מיליוני אחינו. הערב נתייחד עם זכרם של מיליוני אחינו ואחיותינו שנרצחו בשואה. רעייתי שרה ואני נפגשנו שלשום עם...
Tonight we have this. Okay, I need to watch it again. I'm sorry. Should have translated it ahead of time. I don't know why.
הערב נתייחד עם זכרם של מיליוני אחינו ואחיותינו שנרצחו בשואה.
Tonight we remember the millions of our sisters and brothers that had been murdered in the Holocaust.
רעייתי שרה ואני נפגשנו שלשום עם שורדי השואה שידליקו הערב את משואות הזיכרון. פגשנו את איזי קביליו, שורד שואה בן 96 מיוגוסלביה. הוא סיפר לנו על הזוועות שעברו עליו, על משפחתו ועל חבריו. איזי אמר לנו, מדינת ישראל היום היא המקלט האחד והיחיד לעם היהודי.
It's okay, so they met up with the Holocaust survivors that I actually saw their stories tonight, the ones that were lighting up a candle in the official ceremony of the Holocaust remembrance. And they all had the very similar message underlying it, saying that we have to fight, and that when this though was their hope, Israel was their hope. Israel was the light in the end of the tunnel for them. And they were from everywhere, from Libya, from Yugoslavia, from Ukraine, from Italy, very different, lots of different places. And in the end of the day, they all said, we had an amazing childhood. We loved our life. We were Italian first. We were Libyan first. We were whatever first. But then one day it all just changed, just turn around, and now we're just Jews. We're just Jews. And they had nowhere to go back then because the Brits also blocked Israel for refugees. So they had nowhere to go. The United States did not accept Jewish refugees. Britain blocked Israel from Jewish immigrants escaping. They had nowhere to go. So what they're saying now is Israel is the only refuge for Jews everywhere. The only.
מיכאל ברון, שורד נוסף שידליק הערב משואה, אמר לנו, אין לסמוך על הגויים שמבטיחים הבטחות.
Another Holocaust survivor told him, do not trust those nations that promise promises.
השורדים הגיבורים האלה צודקים.
Those heroes, those survivors, they are right.
בשואה הנוראה היו מנהיגים גדולים בעולם שעמדו מנגד. ולכן הלקח הראשון של השואה הוא זה.
During the Holocaust, there were great leaders that just watched. They just watched and did nothing. So the number one lesson that we can learn from the Holocaust.
אם לא נגן על עצמנו, אף אחד לא יגן עלינו.
If we will not defend ourselves, nobody will defend us.
ואם אנחנו צריכים לעמוד לבד, נעמוד לבד. לכן נגן על עצמנו בכל דרך, נגבר על אויבינו, ונבטיח את ביטחוננו ברצועה.
And he said, yeah, I want to go back a little. And then he says, even if we have to do it alone, we're gonna protect ourselves, even if it means that we are completely alone doing so. If we have to stand alone, we'll stand alone, and we will protect ourselves any way we can, in the south, in the north, everywhere, and we will win against our enemies. Yeah, and we have many of them, unfortunately. I see people are arguing about the bombing in the King David Hotel. You guys know that they called to warn them that they planted a bomb there and it's gonna go off, and they wouldn't believe them. Like, they warned them that before bombing it, that they need to evacuate everyone from the hotel because they have planted a bomb, and they just left it off. We're like, no way, you guys are. But who cares about truth or facts or anything, huh? This is I made this video watching from the testimony, just an Israeli student that is right now in Stanford telling what is happening in the United States. And I added subtitle to this, to the part where it speaks English. And it's right now it's members only. This video is members only. By the way, like, subscribe. Notice that you're still subscribed, because I know sometimes YouTube unsubscribes people for some reason. My sister. And yeah, so okay, I wonder if I should start. I think I'll start here, and I want to go to a clip from the anti-Semitism video I made. So right now it's members only, and the thumbnail is like, there is no thing, like there are no facts, there is no truth. Play, come on.
אני חושב שהדוגמה הכי חזקה שאני משתמש בה עכשיו כדי להבהיר כמה הדברים מטורפים, היו שבאיזשהו שלב, זה היה בנובמבר או בדצמבר, כמה ישראלים פרגנו איזשהו אירוע עם עדויות על האלימות המינית ב7 באוקטובר, ושיתפנו באיזשהו פורום של סטודנטים את הזמנה לאירוע הזה, ומיד ענו לנו...
Can you guys read the subtitles? Is it too small? Or should I read them? I think I'll let it play and then I'll just read the
subtitles. שלכם צריך להתרכז באונס שחיילי צה"ל לכאורה מבצעים בנשים פלסטיניות וסוריות מזה 75 שנה. וכשאני אמרתי, אני חושב שאולי הגיע הזמן לנהל איזשהו שיח מבוסס עובדות, נאמר לי על ידי סטודנטית בסטנפורד לכאורה, אתה יודע, בפסגה האקדמית העולמית, היא אמרה לי, אין דבר כזה עובדות במילים אלה. זה קונספט מערבי, הכל נרטיבי. זה היה שיעור מעניין.
Okay, so it's sort of a teaser in the beginning. So he says, just to try to explain how crazy things are here, when after the sexual atrocities that happened in October 7th got exposed, they wanted to have some sort of event where they show the violence that had occurred on the... I'm just gonna read the subtitles. I think the most powerful example I can give, this is him speaking, by the way, I'm just reading the subtitles. I think the most powerful example I can give here now to clarify how crazy things are is that at some point, it was in November or December, some Israelis organized some kind of public event with testimonies about the sexual violence of the 7th of October. And we shared it in some student forum, the invitation to this event. And they immediately answered, your event should focus on the alleged rape of Palestinian and Syrian women by IDF soldiers that have been going on for 75 years. And when I said that I feel that maybe it's time for us to have a fact-based discourse, I was told by an allegedly smart Stanford student, the best of the world academically, but the best institution. She told me in these words, there is no such thing as facts. It is a Western concept. Everything is just narratives. It was and then he finishes by saying it was an interesting lesson. So I want to play, this is from my anti-Semitism video.
We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression.
I am freeing men from the restraints of an intelligence that has taken charge.
That's when I, started to unpack and look at what they were talking about when they were mentioning white supremacy culture. I saw one of their slides and it had these poison bottles on it. And it had things like being on time, being objective.
And from the demands of a freedom and personal independence, which only a very few can bear.
We don't have to view everything through a matrix of domination and oppression. Even just saying that got me labeled as a pariah.
I mean, we saw what happened to people. We saw that people were literally being told to leave the university if they said something offensive.
From the dirty and degrading self-mortification of a chimera called conscience and morality.
This is a woman who became president of perhaps the most elite university in America. And she published no books. She published 11 articles in her career. And it's turned out that much of them were just plagiarized, stolen from other people. So how did she even get there in the first place?
She has 50 allegations of plagiarism against her.
There is no such thing as truth, either in the moral.
Professor Mohammed, what do you make of that?
It's a compelling argument, but unfortunately, it misses, to me, a bigger truth. There are two things here that I think matter. One, the nature of the plagiarism, let's call it on a 3-point scale, was a 1.
There's no doubt that the people...
Nature was a 1. She copied everything. This is lack of morality. This is false testimony. In mass.
Attacked her and that have been harassing her are coming from a place of racism and racial animus.
My grandmother would not trust Claudine Gay to herd her goats.
Or in the scientific sense.
Dismantling Racism in Mathematics is an education program that tells American teachers not to push students to find the correct answers to maths problems because doing so promotes white supremacy.
Yep, you heard that right. The California State Education Panel thinks 2 + 2 = 4 is inequitable and no longer wants to make getting the right answer the main objective of mathematics.
Why do I have to be taught politics in math? Why do I have to go into a science class and taught about how racist America is in 2022?
Why they're going so in on politics in school doesn't make any sense. And this is like in the early 2000s. Obviously today it's completely different. It's even more extreme.
I am freeing men from the restraints of an intelligence that has taken charge, from the dirty and degrading self-mortification of a chimera called conscience and morality, and from the demands of a freedom and personal independence, which only a very few can bear. Conscience is a Jewish invention. It is a mutilation, like circumcision. There is no such thing as truth, either in the moral or in the scientific sense. Adolf Hitler.
That's your testimony today, calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context. That is not bullying or harassment. This is the easiest question to answer yes, Ms. McGill. So is your testimony that you will not answer yes?
If the
yes
speech
or
becomes
no?
if the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment. Yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide?
By the way, yes. 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 At this point, where it's going, these people, just like the Gazans, they will not let it go. It's a complete. I want to bring another clip. I want to show you what the Arab world is really like.
Threatening Israel with destruction.
This is also, by the way, from my antisemitism video. That's a clip. By the way, how many guys have already seen that the clip that I showed from with the quotes? How many guys have watched it before, and how many guys have? Did you guys see that this where it's going? Like, who said those things? I'm kind of curious. No, you guys. Somebody guessed it? Did someone guess it that didn't watch it? And those who did watch it, good job. That I know it's 2.5 hours, but they're worth watching. And I know I wasn't as charismatic when I made it. It was like in the beginning of my post October 7th YouTube career, but I really put a lot of thought making that.
Or repeating vile stereotypes about Jews is deeply wrong.
Oh, thank you.
And only serves.
Start over, because I lost.
Threatening Israel with destruction or repeating vile stereotypes about Jews is deeply wrong.
Oh, thank you.
And only serves to evoke in the minds of Israelis this most painful of memories, while preventing the peace that the people of this region deserve.
Oh, yes, of course. Everything we do is based on trauma and not logic. Gee, I almost thought I'm a human for 1 second and that I deserve empathy.
On the other hand, it is also undeniable that the Palestinian people, Muslims and Christians, has suffered in pursuit of a homeland.
I did it super fast, but this 1976 is a massacre that was like Palestinian fighters murdered at least 582 Christian civilians. That was, I think, in Lebanon. So yeah, no doubt, Muslims and Christians alike.
And Christians has suffered in pursuit of a homeland.
يعني أنت عشتي 63 عام من النكبة الفلسطينية، عشتي كامل هذه النكبة.
92 سنة، 92 حضرت الإنجليز وحضرت ذبحت اليهود في الخليل، ذبحت اليهود ذبحوهم أهل الخليل. وأبي والله ذبح وجاب أواعي من عندهم وكسبوها.
أشكرك شكرا لك.
For more.
By the way, this is the same thing now. If you listen to the conversations of the Gazans that did what they did, how proud they are. And by the way, you can see it all over Twitter if you speak some Arabic, how proud of that they are. It's like it's worth everything. Every time they're sad or they're getting bombed, this is what they write. Every time that something happens, I remember October 7th, and it makes me so happy. And he was asking her about the Nakba, and he was saying, yes, let me tell you about how we massacred the Jews in Hebron. And that it was a little girl, and my father brought the stuff of our neighbors, of our Jewish neighbors, a Jewish community that lived there way before Arabs arrived and got massacred by the noble Palestinians. They didn't know they were Palestinians back then. Yeah, and he asked her about the Nakba. Let me tell you about the Nakba. Let me tell you how we massacred all those Jews and how my dad brought souvenirs from our neighbor's house. And you know, those people, like, you have to understand, like, this is the Jewish experience. You live with your neighbors. And is why a lot of Jews would not believe until they were physically taken out of their homes that this is possible. How can it be that your neighbor you had dinner with yesterday, that you shared a meal with, that you gave that you have and they would turn their backs on you like that? But that's the process of dehumanization. And what we are doing, this is why I brought it, like, this is what Obama did. He dehumanized us. He dehumanized us. The great leader, the great president of the United States dehumanized us. And we're seeing the results.
More than 60 years, they've endured the pain of dislocation.
حنين ربما تقنع حنين للعودة إلى الجزائر. هل أنت مع عودة اليهود إلى
Go back a little
More
bit.
than years, they've endured.
ذبحوا وجاب أواعي من عندهم وكسبوها.
أشكرك شكرا لك.
For more than 60 years, they've endured the pain of dislocation.
حنين ربما تقنع حنين للعودة إلى الجزائر. هل أنت مع عودة اليهود إلى الجزائر إذا كانوا مواطنين صالحين أم أن لديك خوف؟
لكن علاه يجي يدير لي كيان أنا لهنا ما نقبلوش.
Many wait.
This is a part of an interview in the Algerian TV where the host asks an MP in Algeria whether they would accept the Algerian Jews back. And by the way, Algerian Jews were I think they were the first to be, I don't know how to lightly say it, evacuated. Actually, let me check exactly when it happened with Algerian Jews. Because they were like, the Algerians, I think they went to France. But anyway, a lot of those Jews, they loved Algeria, they loved Libya, loved the Moroccan. Not all Jews necessarily wanted to move to Israel. A lot of them had no choice. I think Algerian Jews mostly moved to France, by the way. But yeah, like, would you accept them back? No, they're just traitors. That's what, like, it's not the whole, but no, we don't. Why would we take them back? I'm gonna wait. This is dehumanization. Listen to Obama. Every sentence is a lie.
In refugee camps in the West Bank, Gaza, and neighboring lands for a life of peace and security that they have never been able to lead.
حضرتك تعرف ان كان في يهود في مصر قبل كده؟ اكيد طبعا ولسه موجودين برضه.
No, say I want to go back.
حضرتك
As I say, when I hear, I can read that poem every time Jews are so stupid sometimes. Every human being has various identities. I'm Egyptian when Egyptians are persecuted. Black when blacks are persecuted. Jewish when Jews are persecuted. Palestinian when Palestinians are persecuted. From a Jew in Cairo. By an Egyptian Jew. The Egyptian Jews had 24 hours to evacuate themselves. And this is them now. Is there any regret? Let's watch.
حضرتك تعرف ان كان في يهود في مصر قبل كده؟ اكيد طبعا ولسه موجودين برضه. اعداء الاسلام.
Enemies of Islam are everywhere. That's what he's saying. What the other one before him.
اعداء كان في يهود في مصر قبل كده؟ اكيد طبعا.
Yeah, of course. Okay, and still is.
ولسه موجودين برضه. اعداء الاسلام في كل حاجه دين ودنيا. ما اليهود دول ملعونين يعني. ده مش كلام. كلام مش هيعجبك. يعني بالنسبه لليهود ملعين وعلي.
They are doomed by God.
يبنى الله.
والله هي ديانة اليهود ناس زي المسيحيين.
متعاملين كانوا هنا معانا.
The one tzadika بتصدم. One righteous person in Sodom. Oh, they're Jews. They're just people. Well, thank you. Being people is humans is definitely an upgrade. To be honest.
مصر كانوا قاعدين معانا كل حاجه. ما كانش في اي مشاكل فيه.
No problem.
لسه ليلى برضه يهوديه.
He's saying, what do you think about Layla Muad? I think she was a singer. And he was like, oh yeah, she's good. She was Jewish? Oh no, she's not good then.
يبقى مش كويس.
A delegation of Egyptian refugee immigrants expelled by Nasser because they are Jews. For them, this year's festival of Passover took on a special meaning. The refugees are coming in at such a rate that some are given temporary shelter in the Ma'barat, the transit camps.
They endure the daily humiliations, large and small, that come with occupation.
أول شيء مع التغريدة مع التهنئة للديانة اليهودية.
إيه.
مع التغريدة مع
large and small.
Transit camps.
They endure the daily humiliations.
Right now, the daily from the President of the United States. Liar, liar, liar.
Large and small, that come with occupation.
أول شيء مع التغريدة مع التهنئة للديانة اليهودية.
This singer, peace be upon her, tweeted happy holidays to the Jews, created an uproar in the Arab world that she dared to bless the Jews happy holidays. And she's saying, what is your okay, so what's your problem then? What do you want? Let's bring back the ovens. Let's bring it. And now it's modern. We can do everything way faster. What's the problem? And let's be honest, this is what they want.
استفزاز الناس. شلون قاعد تكتب شمس عن الموضوع هذا؟
اجل حرقوهم، جيبوا هتلر مره ثانيه، وجيبوا افران، الحين في افران حديثه اسرع تحرق، وفكونا ذا كذي.
So let there be no doubt. The situation for the Palestinian people is intolerable. And America will not.
You know what's the difference? The Jews fight every day to live in dignity. They condemn everything, every person that does anything out of line in the Jewish community is getting scolded, shamed, punished. You don't need to do that for us. We do it ourselves. There was no revenge on the German woman. There was no revenge on Ukrainian woman. There is no revenge. There is no... And yet, those who make calls and and we suffered the consequences of not our actions, of real bigotry. The Palestinians suffer the consequences of their actions. They cannot control themselves, and they say it. We cannot have. They cannot have Jewish hostages because they cannot hold themselves from torturing them to death. That's what they're saying. They're saying that it's really hard for them to keep control because when they have this temptation of torturing people to death, we're talking about the rulership, right? They control Gaza, those people, also the civilians. They cannot resist. How can they resist? How can they hold those hostages long term? It's so hard to keep them alive when you can torture them. It's so hard. It's like they have to hold it in, like, okay, just mutilate them, try to keep them alive.
Turn our backs on the legitimate Palestinian aspiration for dignity, opportunity, and a state of their own.
We got Jews in my dignity. Their dignity is to... There is no dignity in their way of life. There is no dignity. There is only shame because they bring shame on themselves. There will be no dignity. There is dignity. Jews in the Holocaust, a lot of them had dignity. You know what? Woman, Amit Sosna, for example, she got raped. She has her dignity. Rape doesn't take away your dignity. The Holocaust didn't take away their dignity. They held their dignity. Those who have a problem is those who watch. They don't understand where dignity is. Those people that behave, those people who don't forget their values, those people who fight, those people who keep their humanity, that's the dignity. They are the ones that keep dignity. They're the ones that are dignified. Those who, even if they get assaulted in the most humiliating ways, they are the ones that have dignity. A woman that gets sexually assaulted, she doesn't lose her dignity. She doesn't lose it.
And a state of their own.
We got Jews in my country, in Tripoli. Barbecue them, bro. They put thinking.
Listen, country.
You need to be wiped.
This is people asking today. No, the kids in college, they're just that. They're kids. They're children. It's the American deep state that planned this for years. That planned it. They knew what they were doing because they knew the truth. They knew the truth. Let me share. I saw this video just before I went up. That's amazing.
Speaking of the Taliban, side tangent here, 2 seconds. Have you seen the new article that came out? And they were like, oh my God, did you know the Taliban have started stoning women again?
That doesn't really shock me.
When did it stop, Jordan? I'm sorry. And also, all of these people who have something to say about it, where were you for 20 years when we could have done something about it? When we were standing there watching it? And you said, we can't do anything about it. So why do you care now? You don't care. Selective outrage. I'm over it. Sorry. Drives me nuts.
Who are you speaking about particularly with the selective outrage?
Oh, you name it. Anybody on social media with a face? Anybody who's an influencer or a political commentator, or these people who have made their careers off of just adding more negativity to the world, and this constant nihilism for young people to click on and become obsessed with the next new rage event. It's really hard to watch.
Now, you had a particular role in Afghanistan. You
Yeah,
said, for example, that you were searching women.
I was searching women.
Right.
So,
and that's a specific role for women, and
correct.
You believe that that's a useful role. What do you...
She's a veteran from the Canadian Army, I think. Let me go through super chats. I got 2 of them. Thank you so much, Gir. Love the neighbor. Yeah, right. Love the neighbor, love fellow is not love your enemy. This is ואהבת את לרעך. It comes from, it teaches empathy. But, you know, you should be also honest enough that if you do something, you should also get punished. Like, that's also part of it. Thank you for your support, by the way. The Uralic tribes, thank you so much. The nerve on those types of Arabs bragging, someone should tell them how they enslaved hundreds of thousands of Europeans whose descendants still live in Egypt today. Oh, they're proud of that. They are very proud of that. And you know what? The Germans would have been proud too. They had to be, you know, the Nazis, they never stopped being proud. They just never went back home and to somebody regretting. No, these kind of people, they don't regret it. They don't. They don't. That's beyond repair. Exactly. I want to also talk about I saw this. I think when I made this video about Columbia University, that I read the testimony of an Israeli Jew, and that there are certain Jews that would scream at them in Hebrew so that the mob would know who to attack. And she said this is what hurts the most. So I want to stop for a moment and actually talk about that. So, yep. Loricetto, thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Rebecca. Your voice is strong and inspiring. My 2 aunts perished in the Soseniki forest in 1941. Never again. Yeah. I think my goal is in the end is to also talk about what we should be doing. After all, this is the main, and because those who went down this rabbit hole, that's it. There is no turning back until there isn't a real tragedy, catastrophe. And this is also something I talk about in my antisemitism video. If some people know about like narcissistic personality disorder and things like that, the only thing that might drive them to change is a tragedy, is hardcore consequences of what they've done. But the price is high, is very, very high. So we have to know, like we have to understand that that's a rabbit hole where you cannot come back from. So we do need to talk about how do we arrange ourselves in a way that the price will be minimized. Obviously, ideally, it would have been stopped way earlier, right? The writing was on the wall for years now. But I do want to take a pause and talk about those who would regret their stance pretty soon. And number 1 is, of course, the Jews. I'm gonna take myself off stage for a moment while we watch it, and I'll be right back.
The solidarity marches and occupations in support. Alongside the solidarity marches and occupations in support of Palestine, there were some Jewish students who were siding with the anti-Israel occupiers of the campus, and some people describe these people who would sort of, invoke certain mitzvot as being in support of the Palestinians and kind of hijack Judaism really, and describe it as just invert it really to find a way to support the anti-Israel mob. Some people describe these as self-hating Jews. And I wondered what your thoughts were on that term, and what should our approach be as a Jewish community to Jews who threaten the Jewish people in a way?
You're talking about secular Jews, or
I mean those who are deeply anti-Israel, Jews who are deeply anti-Israel. Because some people say, no, we've got to try to find a way to talk to them, guide them. And others say they have to be called out publicly, they have to be slammed, and they have to be excommunicated.
Yeah, but are we talking about the...
do you mean like Netanyahu Carter? Or, to be honest, does it matter, the difference, whether it's the secular or the religious?
Yeah, because the religious ones are saying it in the name of God. They're saying that that's what Judaism demands.
Well, the secular will invoke the mitzvot. At some of these campuses, they did a Passover Seder in solidarity with the Palestinians. Now, they would not describe themselves as religious. They might take Judaism in this context in order to support the cause.
Yeah. Well, look, we've had this in every generation. How many Jews were communists, supporting the communists as the communists were destroying Jews? How many people back in the times of Hanukkah were supporting the enemy? They were Hellenized.
Hellenized. Yeah. I like him. I like the way he explains things. It is sad, when it's your own people who are hurting you. But yeah.
I'm sure that it happened in Egypt too. The sad thing is...
No, JTV, I really like it, JTV. They're good. And I like this rabbi.
They believed that if they're supporting the enemy, which is like saying, oh, we're different. You don't have to hate us. We're not like those Jews.
We're the good Jews.
They actually believe that they will be safe.
Yeah, we are humans. We are not demons like the rest of them. Look, we can mate with you and everything.
So it's desperation for safety. But it never worked. The Jewish communists were all rounded up and killed.
I actually started that stream with that, but that made me think that, yes, they were the first to suffer the consequences, but you cannot blame them for wanting to bring the Tsar down. It's the Russian Empire. It's the Russian Empire that killed hundreds of thousands of Jews and actually encouraged the pogroms that were happening. So it makes sense. By the way, it would be the same now, like in theory, right? If the Jews would fight now and support Trump, and let's say Trump would be getting taken care of by the FBI or something, because something there is shady, and then we'll get someone like Tucker Carlson as the Republican Party, and suddenly like, oh, look who the Jews supported. They supported those who brought Tucker Carlson on. And of course, Tucker Carlson, the first thing that he would do is to take care of the Jews. And then with the Jews, let me tell you, a lot of money in the US will perish with the Jews, because a lot of them are the ones who are managing the businesses, and it's just reality, okay? I'm not, there is, and then it's like, okay, and then and then surprise, all the Arab states, oh, they were better when there were Jews, it's better for Iraq. You know how much money Iraq took from the Jews, how much land? What is Israel? Israel is nothing. Like all the fortune of Israel and the size of Israel was less than the fortune and the number of and the amount of land Iraqi Jews owned alone. And they took it all. They took everything. They came with nothing, with their shirts. So where is Iraq now? Did it help Iraq? Did it make Iraq better? No. It didn't make Iraq better. And it's going to be the same. So the Tucker Carlson would be such a smartass, get rid of all the Jews. America will be, who started Hollywood? Who made Las Vegas, Las Vegas? Who made Hollywood, Hollywood? Who made New York, New York? Who made Miami, Miami? No, and then it would be like, you see, the Jews brought this regime that brought destruction upon us, and of course the first ones to suffer were the Jews, but who cares about what led them to cooperate with the right wing in the United States? Like, this is the situation. This is how effed up it is. This is what the logic Jews is like, no matter what. And it's like, oh, that's it. Las Vegas, yeah. Made Las Vegas, Las Vegas. Yeah, sure. And then enjoy with the Palestinian refugees you guys want to take now, Biden wants to bring and stuff. Enjoy Russian Tucker Carlson with the Russian friendship, and that would bring so much fortune and love and greatness to the United States, because Jews bring a certain ideology with them. The United States started as the new Israel. This is what the founding fathers saw themselves as Israel. Oh, the United States of Israel. You know what? Historically, ideologically, true. But this is what made America great. Get rid of that. Make it like, Yes, the United States of Israel, that's what you are. That's what it is. Because the whole thing was built upon Jewish theology, Jewish ideology. Every single bit, Yale University, Urim Vetumim, everything is built upon that. Everything is built upon Jewish morals, Jewish stories, Jewish history. Whatever you say about the Jews, did this, did that, right? It's the stories that matter, right? It's like I said, I had this talk with somebody from India, and he asked me, what happened if all the Jews perished? Well, somebody would pick up a Torah, pick up the Talmud, start learning and understanding what Judaism is, would feel that he can be Chinese. He would feel that he belongs, that he was there. This is how Jews describe conversion to Judaism. If you feel that your soul was there with us when we accepted the Torah, and those values that we value so much, then you are Jewish. It's just that the soul your soul is Jewish. You were always Jewish. You just need to you just have to like catch up with your studies. That's what you have to do. I said, like just like, oh, what happens? Oh, you cannot beat Hamas because Hamas is an idea. Guess what? Judaism is an idea. And everything that the United States was built on is the idea that the Jews brought, that the Jews create. It is an idea. Those stories, the ideas. You know who is super Jewish? Jesus. Why was he such a perfect man? Why is he so inspiring? Because he lived by the principles of Judaism. He understood the principles of Judaism. What he fought for was the real Judaism. He wanted to preserve the real Judaism, and he saw it being corrupted by the Turi Karta, the Pharisees kind of people in one hand, those who are, forget the main principles of Judaism, and then the Hellenists on the other hand, where, they would go and do things that are very not Jewish, like, stuff with kids, let's say it like that. Or so Jesus embedded, like, what made him so great, because he understood Judaism. And a lot of the teachings he were teaching, that the taking care of life in Sabbath, right? This story, or the Good Samaritan, or things like that. Those are all lessons that had to be like the Jews needed that reminder, right? And they're true, but they're all like not necessarily those that Jesus said, right? Because he was hijacked by Christianity. That let me tell you something. I don't care if he's God. I don't think it matters. It matters what he said. What he said, what he was teaching, that mattered. It doesn't matter if he's God or not. Does it matter? Why does it even matter at all? If he was speaking truth, he was teaching lessons that are important. Exactly. So yes, he embodied Judaism, the real Judaism. This is what made him great. But then if you make him to a God and forget everything that he was teaching, then you cannot be like Jesus. Yes, you should be like Jesus. And yes, I understand, like those who converted to Christianity, they would have not listened to the teachings of Jesus if Jesus wasn't a God. This is the only way that they would listen. I'm sure this is the reason he turned into a God. I don't care if he's a God or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's the teachings, is what is said. It's the lessons that he was teaching is the lessons that Jews had to hear, because they forgot some things back then. They did forget. There is a reason that catastrophe happened with the Sinat Chinam and like with losing the second temple. It didn't happen for no reason. Because the Jews forgot. And Jesus did teach lessons that were important. But everything he taught, Pikuach Nefesh, his teachings on the Saturday, are now canon in Judaism, are now understandable and acceptable. And like the Good Samaritan, those stories, same thing. We have our histories of Good Samaritan. Because what he said was important. It's what the Jews had to hear. But if you take Jesus, and I don't care, he can be God, as far as I can believe in him, he is God. I don't care. Like, Jesus is king, he is God. Doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But if you don't do and you don't learn from Jesus and you don't strive to be like him, then you're not, what's the point? What is the point? Yes, Christians are Jews. Everything that America was founded on is Judaism. But yeah, take it away, take rid of the Jews, you're not gonna get happiness. You're gonna get disasters, because what made America successful, like, listen, like communism didn't work. A million times it didn't work, right? The Jewish morals proved themselves. They prove themselves. America proves the Jewish morals. Israel proves the Jewish morals. It's proven. It's proven that if you live by the morals, that the Torah teaches, first, like updated ones, no need to take anything for extreme or things that weren't understood. And of course, like the science has to be updated. But there are basic facts, basic things that are human nature, that are true. They're just true. That's just the way they are. You take away the Jews, it doesn't matter. Somebody one day would understand what the Jews, the Judaism tried to say. They would feel like their soul was there with us, and Judaism will live again. Because Judaism and Jews, it's also an idea. Everything is an idea. There is no difference, okay, between us. The Jews are not different because they're genetically different. I mean, they're different because they embody certain type of ideology of values. That's what makes them different.
Even the German Jews, who till the last minute didn't believe that Hitler would hate them. They were Germans. They were intermarried. They were more German than Jewish in their behavior. Didn't save them. On the contrary, the enemy loses respect for people who don't respect themselves. So if you'll turn on your own people, how can I trust you not to turn on me?
That's true, though.
If you're sacrificing your own family members, how much can I trust you? So it never.
By the way, this is the tomorrow's live spoiler alert. Do you think that when America goes against Israel and then goes to the Saudis, what do you think the Saudis will think about America? They would look at it as a treacherous, untrustworthy, because the thing that unites America and Israel is definitely not the government of the US or even the government of Israel. It's the values. It's the shared values, because both Israel and the United States of Israel, that was founded upon the values of Israel, have those values, shared values. So it is a family, because we, like, you know, but going against Israel is going against the American values as well. This is the thing. It's like, you're not betraying us, you're betraying yourselves when you do that. Not understanding that American values are founded upon Israeli values, Israel values. That this is what, like, this is why there is this friendship kind of situation. Is that there aren't a lot of nations that are founded upon those values, and both America and Israel are founded upon the Jewish values, I was Jewish, the values that are in the Bible, in the New Testament, in the Talmud. There is a lot of similarities there. There are a lot of similarities there. Brenton Lefton. When you see kids wearing kafia and kippot, yeah, something. Yep. Well, thank you for your support.
Worked. It's a sad mistake, but it's desperation. Terrible fear.
So what should our approach be? To love them or to hate them?
Well, to have compassion. It's very sad. I would hate to be in their shoes.
It's true.
Too frightened to be proud of their Judaism or Jewishness. That's sad. You know, during the Entebbe raid, when they first took all the hostages from the France air flight, there were about 300 people on the plane. They separated the Jews from the non-Jews. They took everybody's passport and identifying Jewish names, they separated Jews from non-Jews, and they allowed the non-Jews to go free. So of the 300, there were 100 Jews. As they were calling the names, most of the Jewish names were Israeli, and the passport was Israeli. They called one name. It was the woman terrorist, the German woman. She was calling the names, and she said something like Shlomo Schwartz to the side with the Jews. And this guy gets up and he says, no, my passport is Austrian. I'm Austrian. She said, Shlomo Schwartz over there. He said, no, you're making a mistake. Look at the passport. I'm Austrian. I'm not Israeli. Anyway, they dragged him off. Later that night, the man was crying. And the pilot, the French pilot, who to his credit refused to leave, although he wasn't Jewish and was free to go, he said, no, I'm staying with my passengers until everyone is. He was walking around trying to calm people down. And this man was crying. He walked over and he said, get yourself together. You're frightening the children. We'll be fine. We'll get out of this. He said, I'm not crying over our situation. I can't forgive myself for what I did this morning. He said, what did you do this morning? He said, I claimed not to be a Jew. Can't forgive myself. Jews are being moved to the right and I wanted to go to the left. I can't forgive myself. And the pilot said, oh, I understand that. You're trying to save your life. It's perfectly logical and sensible that you would do that. Why are you feeling guilty? The man said, you'll never understand.
There is something that I think I told AP when he interviewed me. There is a lesson, right, that I learned from a young age. Jews celebrate life, everybody is aware of that. We celebrate life. We understand life. We love life. ובחרת בחיים, and in your darkest hour, we're commanded to choose life. This is what God, like, is written in the Bible. It says, you will whatever, you will choose life. No, I was interviewed by AP, Apostate Prophet, and then there I told him that the thing is that with Islam, everybody can see their love of death, right? They love bragging about how they're willing to die for their cause, for their right. With Judaism, with how I grew up, is that sometimes death is always a choice. You have to still fight for your life, but not at the cost of your values. That I remember being young, I was like, what if I have to, like, what if somebody puts a gun, and then I have to shoot my friend? Then you die. You let the other person shoot you. That's what you do. Because life that you don't follow and you don't live in the freedom that we fought for. First of all, it's the freedom of the mind, right? You do not bow down. You do not bow down. You do not give away what makes you you, no matter what. And this is the mindset where when we grow up, because I think a lot of Israeli, yes, we love life, but the thing that I think is often misunderstood and being obfuscated with the love of life thing is that you fight till the end, but you never stop fighting, even at the cost of your life.
Wow. He was so ashamed that he had experienced that moment of weakness.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said we are fundamentalists. We don't kill for our values, but we will die for our values. At least this is the education. And this is also what I got from the Israeli education system. Might have changed. I don't know. Might have became more woke since I was in school. But when I was in school, this is the impression you get, is that you don't kill but you die if it comes to your values.
So it's very sad. These people are suffering under such a illusion or delusion. You actually think you're being safer this way?
I heard Rudy Rochman saying that he understands it as someone that's a partner in an abusive relationship. The abused one has three responses. One is to fight back, one is to just be passive, and the other is to justify the abuser in order to protect themselves, to make, Stockholm syndrome. Do you think that's what's going on?
Yes. Don't say anything insulting or disagreeable, because then they'll hate you. Oh, then they'll hate you.
Yeah.
Right now, he's in the middle of beating you.
Yeah. Yeah. The irony is that actually a lot of people who claim to be standing up for Israel on a more subtle level also have that mentality with regard to what they think Israel can and should do, and the extent to which we need to appease America and appease the world.
But the tragedy is that we sometimes feel that.
Yeah.
It's a 2,000-year-old problem, because when you're abused for 2,000 years, it's pretty damaging psychologically. But we have survived all of that. We will certainly survive this, because, and This may be a little controversial, but calling it anti-Semitism is a mistake. The people marching on campuses are not anti-Semitic. They're out of their minds. They don't even know which river and which sea they're chanting about. And they couldn't care less. In fact, they're not even sure who a Jew is. And they don't care. This is not anti-Semitism. This is a symptom of a people without rudders. They have no idea what's right, what's wrong, what's true, what's false. They have no idea what's worthy of their support and what is not.
But they know the Jews are going to give that clarity.
It's the vacuum. They're suffering from a vacuum, not an act of hatred, but a confusion as to who are we supposed to hate anyway. Calling it anti-Semitism is giving it too much credit. Because even anti-Semitism can be considered a cause, a belief, a policy. There's no policy, there's no cause, and there's no belief. It's just the flailings of people with no direction, with no mooring, with no anchor. And in a second, it can turn around.
Yeah.
This is not Nazism.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you want to...
Nice missing. Thank you, Mr. Saint Miles. Interesting presentation. We will review missed parts later. Gotta go for now. Well, have fun wherever you go. Yeah. Let's end with some optimism. And of course, the reason that we are gathered here is to remember. But this is a fun article. After all, it's not the first time anti-Jewish feelings were very popular in the United States. Far from it. So here is an interview about the time when 1930s Jewish mobsters beat up Nazis in the streets of America. Michael Benson's Gangsters versus Nazis tells us how New York judge secretly directed mafia bosses Meir Lansky and Bugsy Siegel to recruit army of Jewish thugs to intimidate anti-Semites. I mean, I don't want to say I'm encouraging anything right now, but the thing is that let me see. I want you to do anything but kill them. Perelman warned the organized crime boss. That's amazing. It's like they were so sure that Jews would not fight back. But I don't know. I think even in the US, the tides are turning. Because they said that Jews were all communists and they had all the money, which came as quite a shock to a lot of American Jews. Like the claim that both like communists and have all the money. Definitely no oxymorons here. Well, rich people that support communism, I have to know, like they have to be tested, you know, they have to be, their brain needs to be studied to see where there is short circuit somewhere there, for sure. Like, It's funny. I think it's a fun article. Anyway, I trust America, and never again is now. Even though there was a Holocaust in Israel, like a massacre. The fight is never over. Wish it was this Memorial Day is different, no matter how we look at it. It's gonna get darker before it gets brighter, but we're gonna fight all the way. And now we have more options than we did back then. Just hope that the Israelis will not choose to be in denial about what's going on, because it's easy, in our bubble to forget about the world and just look at everything as if it's localized. But it's not. Maybe all be safe. Guys, you got any questions before I'm gonna go? Yep. We have to finish the job. No peace until Hamas is gone. I agree with the comments. All right. Have a good night, y'all. I'm gonna wait like 2 minutes to see if there are any questions, and then I'm gonna go. Waiting. Bye. Good night to you all.